Hi guys, welcome to Khong Driving, and we are now in the Mini Countryman plug-in hybrid, and I'm on my way back to BMW to return this car to them after having it for 4 days. 4 days of fun and 4 days of helping to keep the ecosystem clean, yeah, because this is plug-in hybrid and it uses electricity plus a little bit of petrol, and you are helping the environment by reducing the carbon footprint. Now the question is, should I buy, or should one buy a hybrid, or should one buy a plug-in hybrid, or should one buy a fully electric car? Okay, let's look at the pros and cons. I would like to look at electric car first, okay? And actually, we are going around full circle. In about 10 years' time, there is talk that there will be no more internal combustion engines allowed. Everything must be electric, and some of the car companies are working towards that. Yeah. So, is it going to happen? Yes, it's possibly going to happen. But the idea of an electric car is not something new. Yeah? As far back as 100 years ago, when they were developing the internal combustion engine, there was also the idea of having electric cars, and they did have electric cars running. But of course, battery technology those days with lead acid batteries and all that, it didn't work very well, and the batteries ran out. And even as far as 15 years ago, I was in China and I saw a very basic electric car, or rather it was an electric tricycle, sort of like a motorcycle front and 2 wheels at the back. So you might even call it an electric cart. And what was it? It was actually a motor, a normal DC or direct current motor that was attached by a chain to the rear axle of the tricycle, and it's connected to about 6 or 8 units of lead acid batteries, you know, the ordinary car batteries that you have. And then there was a throttle control, a set of brakes for the rider or driver to use, and that's it. That was an electric vehicle. And of course, it would last. I spoke to the guy who drove it, and he said it will last about a day, and then at night he has to go back and change the batteries. Yeah, of course the range is very limited, maybe 5 or 10 kilometers. Okay, so electric cars are not new. Yeah, the only trouble with electric cars was if it flipped over or if it bounced, then the lead acid battery, you know, like the one I saw 15 years ago, the lead acid battery could spill and it could cause injuries. And of course the batteries were very heavy. But nowadays with new battery technology, they are lighter and they're more powerful. So electric cars are making a comeback, and we already have a couple of them running in this country. But the problem with electric cars is that the infrastructure is not ready. So if I needed an electric car to go to Ipoh, there's a good chance that I might not reach. Although some of the cars claim a range of 300 kilometers, you know. But in actual life, when you're running the aircon, or if you're overtaking cars, or if you have more demand for electricity, then there's a good chance the battery can run out. So you need to have a way of charging up the car very quickly. So there are 1 hour charging stations. When I last took a Nissan Leaf for a trial, I went to a 1 hour charging station. But 1 hour charging station means I have to sit there for 1 hour waiting for the battery to charge up. Okay, and in contrast, if I had a petrol-driven car, I could just spend 5 minutes filling up my car, and I'm on my way. So, and of course, right now those charging stations are few and far in between. So for the Nissan Leaf, the normal charge is like 7 to 8 hours, and that can be quite a tedious procedure or process. So for the time being, I think electric cars can only be run for very, very short hauls, yeah, and of course they are also very expensive, yeah, and I don't think that we are really ready for fully electric cars. Maybe in 10 years time, but it probably needs a lot of intervention, probably from the government or the authorities or even the car companies, to set up these charging stations, or even like quick exchange packs for batteries, something like that, to make the whole process much faster and more convenient. Okay, so the next step down is the plug-in hybrid, which is actually compared to a hybrid. The hybrid, yeah, is actually a car that has an engine and also a battery and a motor. So that is called a hybrid. So the normal hybrid car has a very small battery, and so it runs the engine, and then when it's braking or on negative throttle, the system will harness this energy and change it into electricity and store it in the small battery pack, which is somewhere in the car. And then when you accelerate or when you're on light load, this electricity is fed back into the system to help you save some fuel. So that is the hybrid, yeah. Okay, the problem with hybrid is some of them have like very limited range because the battery is very small, yeah. So maybe you can run 1 or 2 kilometers on fully electric mode, but not at high throttle. And then after that, you are done. You are back to the engine, and then you get this recycling of energy that is otherwise wasted into electricity, which in turn helps to power the car. So cars like the Prius and the Ioniq and the Prius C, they all run this system. Plus, of course, the Honda Jazz, City, and Civic, they have hybrid systems. So everybody runs roughly about the same type of system, yeah. And now, of course, you also have the Nissan X-Trail that on hybrid. And of course, the hybrid actually is an interim kind of thing that bridges the gap between the infrastructure shortcomings. So for example, if there is no charging station between here and Penang, who cares? You have a hybrid system which has an engine. You can run on the engine, and it's a combination of engine and battery. So no issues there. And do you save fuel and save the ecosystem with hybrids? Yes, it's one of the best ways, yeah. Of course, the downside of having a hybrid car is when the battery fails, you have to change it, and it costs maybe from, well, Honda says that is 7,000 odd ringgit, and some of the cars are 20,000 ringgit. So it's anybody's guess, but I would suppose that the car makers are actually subsidizing the cost of the battery, or they are foregoing profit on the battery, selling it at cost, because it's like to keep the system moving, yeah, so that the customers won't balk at the thought of paying high prices for batteries. But if you ask me, I would say between 15 to 20,000 ringgit for a small battery pack would be about the right price. So the low prices are actually subsidized prices, yeah, or profit foregone. Okay, so the other downside about a hybrid car is that when it's time to sell the car, which is maybe 6-7 years down the road, or even 5 years, the good thing about current hybrid systems is that the batteries do seem to last longer because the warranties are much longer. Some of the makers give 7 or 8 years of warranty, which is good. But the question is, what happens after that? Okay. So far, they claim no battery has failed, or rather, the old batteries are still running. But then we all know, what I know about batteries is that as you use them, the battery life becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. Like my handphone, you know, every 2-3 hours, I have to put a power bank on because it's running out of battery. Maybe because we are using a lot of internet or whatever. But the demand on the battery is really, really high. And after a couple of years, then you'll find that you have to constantly recharge your phone. So that means there is some deterioration insofar as batteries are concerned. Okay, the good news also about batteries is that now they use lithium-ion batteries instead of nickel metal hydride. You remember those days 20 years ago when nickel metal hydride batteries were being used? Well, they have this memory effect, yeah. So you have to make sure that it's down to 0 before you recharge. But now with lithium ion, you can recharge anytime. It doesn't seem to have any memory effect. But it is a fact that batteries will wear down as you use them. So that brings us down to second-hand value. So if you buy a car for 150,000, and let's say in a normal car, after a few years it's worth 100,000, well, then your car will be worth 100,000 less the cost of the battery, and less a little bit more because the owner says, if I'm going to have to change the battery and I'm going to pay cash for it, then I want a little bit more to my advantage. So the second-hand value of the hybrid car kind of like goes a bit lower than normal market value. Okay, so ask anybody who has a hybrid car for sale. So that's the downside, and unless and until they come up with a solution to the cost of replacing the battery, there's no solution. The only thing is to make the batteries cheaper. For the time being, it is happening, but it's not going to happen in the near term, yeah, in the short term. Now, so then as a what you call development of hybrids, they also have plug-in hybrids. So what's the difference between a plug-in hybrid and a normal hybrid? A plug-in hybrid is simply a system, in simple terms, yeah, it's a bit more complicated than that, but basically it is a car that is a hybrid, but it has a larger capacity battery, and so it's a much larger battery pack, and you can plug this into your household current or into the charging station they have in the shopping complexes, although there are not so many of them, and you can charge up your battery, and after charging it up you can get a range of maybe 20 for some makes, 40 for some makes, or even 60 or 80 kilometers of range just running on the battery itself. Okay, and of course the plug-in hybrid also has an engine, so again you don't have to worry so much about having to charge up your car if you don't have the time. And of course, here's another thing, if you have a plug-in hybrid and you need to charge up the smart text, sorry. So if you have a plug-in hybrid and you need to charge, well, the whole idea of buying a plug-in hybrid is so that you can charge your battery overnight, you know, when you're sleeping, so that tomorrow morning you can still go to work. So like for example, this car, this Mini Countryman plug-in, you can get about 42 kilometers of range, okay, and when it's fully charged. So if you live within 20 kilometers or 15 kilometers from your workplace, you can technically drive to work and back running fully on electricity. Yeah, so you can save a lot of money on fuel, because charging up your car less than the petrol. Yeah. So the downside of it is if you live in an apartment building where there's no socket down there, and even if there's a socket, the management is going to look at you with a bit of a frown if you're plugging your car in to charge it up at their expense. Yeah. So that's the downside. If you live in an apartment and not landed property where you cannot plug in your plug-in hybrid, then it becomes a useless system and it becomes just an ordinary hybrid. So like for example this one, the charging system is not available, and for the last 4 days that I've had a car, I haven't been able to charge it up. So I'm just charging up when I'm using the car and letting the system do it itself when you're lifting off, say like now. Okay, so that's the downside. Yeah. And then the other part of it is the cost of replacement of a battery. Now before we go any further, these batteries are supposed to last a very long time. So the car makers always say about 10 years, 12 years. I don't know how long, because we haven't had these plug-in hybrids for that long. But I think 5-6 years should be quite okay lah, quite normal. But then what is the cost of such a battery? Okay, so there was one case, we don't know if it's true. It was regarding a German brand. Yeah, there was some damage to the battery for whatever reason, and it had to be replaced. And the price that was quoted was like 120,000 ringgit. Hey guys, I can buy a car for it, man, the same amount of money. So now that's not something that's very palatable to me. Yeah, to have to pay 120,000 ringgit for a replacement battery of my car is not a joke. Yeah, it's not a joke at all. And that is what bothers me. Okay, so and although people say it doesn't cost that much, I would say that, well, there's no smoke without fire. Yeah, somebody must have quoted the amount, and it is a matter of concern. Even if it was less than 120,000 ringgit, even if it was 60,000 ringgit, it will still cause me a lot of concern, because how many people walk around, I'm talking of average people, not the super rich, how many people have 60,000 or 120,000 in their banks ready to buy batteries for their hybrid or plug-in hybrid car? Well, I can tell you not many. So the majority, I would say maybe 95-98% of the population in this country wouldn't have that kind of money just sitting around. So that again is another cause of concern. So what would I buy at this moment in time? Well, personally, I like power and I like to drive, but for me, maybe hybrid is not the right time for hybrid. Yeah, for me, I will wait. If everybody goes electric and I have no choice, I will go electric. But if I have to buy, one of the three hybrids, I think the most probable thing I will do is, if I have to buy, I will just go for the ordinary hybrid, because I know that the battery pack will cost not so much as in a plug-in hybrid, and I won't go for a plug-in hybrid because of the cost of the battery. Although I do like the concept, of driving to work without having to pay for petrol, but the long-term economics of it doesn't make sense to me at this moment. Now, how about fully electric? Oh yeah, 0 to 100 in 7 seconds, 0 to 100% torque in 1 second or less. Yeah, all these are very nice numbers, but the range, guys, the range. The first time I had a electric car, the range was like 160 kilometers in those days. Yeah, and I thought to myself, I will drive to Kuala Selangor and have dinner with my wife and come back as a test. I got to somewhere near Sungai Buloh and the range dropped by almost half, and I knew that there was no way I was going to make it to Kuala Selangor and back, because it's a fully electric car. So I had to abort and turn back. Now that is the problem with electric cars. So the new one, I recently got one, and it's supposed to be 320 kilometers, but I'm sorry guys, it didn't go 320, because when you start testing the car, it accelerate hard, you know, the battery depletes very fast. Now I'm not going to pay close to 200,000 ringgit to buy a car and then drive it like a pussycat, yeah? No, I'm not. Because if I have to pay 200,000 ringgit for a car, then I want some kind of performance that 200,000 ringgit can buy. So insofar as electric car is concerned, definitely no. Unless the ecosystem for electric cars improves a lot, and I mean a lot. So there you have it, guys. These are just my views, yeah, and they do not represent anything, and it's not meant to be against anybody or any brand or make. It's just my own views and my views only. So anyway, thanks for watching, and hope you will enjoy our videos more, and if you like what you see, please do subscribe. Okay then, till we meet again, bye bye.